last person, beautiful lady that we have, Raven Williams. You give it to me, lady, so Miss Raven Williams. What's the name of your book again?
The name of my book is She Is Legacy.
She Is Legacy. Now, you and I discussed some of your books briefly, and the reason why I like all, but the reason why I kind of connected with yours because my mother is a legacy here in Houston. I'm an heir and living her legacy and things like that. And when you said a lot of time, I'm gonna let you explain. Go ahead. I don't want to talk.
You mentioned your mother right now. And a lot of people would naturally think that your legacy is just your mother, but it's not. Your legacy can be your sister, it can be your husband, it can be your child. You can be a legacy for someone else. It can be your teacher.
Yeah.
It can be anyone you think of, anyone who's made an impact or has planted deep roots deep within you. That is a legacy. So it goes well beyond. However, in this book, I start off by defining a woman, because the book came about from my mother, who was definitely my legacy. You know, even though she gave physical birth to me once, she continues to birth life into me constantly. And so she is my legacy. So she always tells me who I am. And you know, in all of the things I've gone through in life, I have very similar stories to many of the authors here. And she would always encourage me. She always pray with me. She always tell me who I am and remind me of who I am. And so the beginning of this book defines who a woman is. It reminds you that you are created to shape and mold beauty. That you're here to nurture and that you're here to be there for someone else. So once it's defined and you understand fully that as a woman who you are, that you can change the world by just the tone of your voice, that you can change the tone of someone's atmosphere around you just by your physique, not from a negative point of view, but just your atmosphere and who you are in general. That will change an atmosphere in a room like nothing before. Nothing, and nobody can do that but a woman. So it really defines who a woman is, and my mother had to really teach me and tell me that and rebirth that into me every time I've gone through some things, every time I went through the domestic violence situations, when I lost a child, you know, I went through that, and she reminded me, when I get discouraged, when people try to throw shade at me for no apparent reason at all, you know, she said, you don't worry about that. Even 2 days ago, she called me for 20 minutes on the phone and said, baby, I'm so proud of you. You keep walking into your destiny. You keep doing what God has told you to do, and you continue to move forward. And so that was definitely the premise behind She Is Legacy, to share all of that information with women, to find who they are, to help them to rediscover who they are, and kind of see examples through each chapter so that they can go on and empower other women or anyone else to be great, because you can't keep that legacy. Once you leave, your legacy has to go somewhere. Right. So what greater legacy will it be than to you to pass that on to someone else?
Absolutely. Let me ask you here. Once the woman recognizes her legacy, or once she recognizes who she is, and I know you said it's not about them keeping, they have to pass on. How would you say a woman should be able to pass on her legacy, even if someone doesn't? Let me give you an example. Say this is my daughter. I'm a legacy. Even if she don't want it, is there any way that we can still give it, even with unknowingly, with them not even knowing that we're giving it to them?
The thing that I've learned about children is that you can tell them things and they will act like they're not listening, but I guarantee you they're receiving it. It's soaking in, because one day they're going to come back and remember that my mother used to tell me when I was little, because I didn't want to hear that. She had to say I was a young teenager. I don't want to know that. But she would always say, Raven, one day you're going to remember what I said, what I taught you. And so for a mother, continue to speak life into your child. Continue to write your child notes. I love sticky notes. So I write notes on everything, and I'll stick a note on my sons. I have boys, so I'll stick a note on their bed or on their headboard on the video games, because that's what they do. The video games, I'll stick a note, and every morning Before I leave out of the house, I walk upstairs. They may be asleep, they may not be asleep, but they know, they automatically know I'm coming. I hug them, I rub their little head because they don't like me to touch them too much, wake them up too much. And I give them a kiss and I say, I love you. Mama's leaving out the door. You have a wonderful day. Call me when you get up. And they remember that. So when I didn't call them, one day they called me and said, Mom, what's wrong? Are you okay? Are you at work? Are you at home in your room? What's going on? No, I'm at work. I just forgot to go upstairs this morning. I was ripping and running. But they remembered that. And so keep going. Keep instilling, because it's planting. Every time you speak, you're planting something in them. You can plant a seed on the ground, and every time you water it, it's growing. It's growing. Their mind is growing. They're remembering. So continue to do what you're doing, because it's not in vain.
Right, and the reason why I'm saying you are exactly right, because when I was growing up, I wasn't a hard head, but because my mother was very hard on us, at some point I just kind of stopped listening, you know, but I always knew when to get back in line, because my mother didn't play. At the age of 15, I got pregnant when I was a teen mother, and now I'll be 51 in about 2.5 weeks. It took me to get to be maybe 40, 45 years old to start watering those plants. Watch this, that my mother was at all those seeds that she was planting. I started watering. You know how I started watering? I started going through different things. I started remembering what she said when I was growing up as a teenager. You ain't got no friends. Yes, I do. No, you don't. See, I started learning. So when I started learning, that was the water that was being put on that seed. You know, you want to be a business person. No, I don't want to. I started seeing everything she was telling me. She was planting seeds when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I'm able to water that, and I'm seeing it grow. So you're absolutely right. And we remember a whole lot. Because my son is 22 now, and he tells me stuff, and I be like, Mom, you know, I remember when I was in the 2nd and 3rd grade, I used to hear you and my husband, y'all in there arguing like, you supposed to sleep with somebody on. You know, he can tell me conversations now that we would have when he was younger. You know, so kids do listen and they remember. They remember. Everyone, let's give our panel ladies a hand. You all did an absolute enormous job. Big job, huge job. You all were great. Let's support these ladies if we can. Even if you just go by and talk to them. If you can't get a book today, go online and purchase their book. Be a blessing, because a lot of times, it's something I'm learning too. I'm blessed because I'm blessing somebody else. You know, I am now becoming to be a giver more than a receiver, because I know